Today we're going to be talking about men stuff and what it means to be a real man in today's world. We live in a world where we have been so overly feminized in so many ways, and the church has been greatly affected in this way. And today we have a special guest with us who's going to be sharing with us. He's done a lot of conferences all across the country for men. He's been, I think, really rocketed to stardom at Promise Keepers as a speaker for them. He is a fabulous, fabulous man. Would you please welcome Mr. Brad Stein? There he is! A manly man. He's a manly man.
I'm the fabulous man he was talking about. Does it get more fabulous than this? I think not.
I don't think so.
Welcome, brother.
How are you?
Thank you for having me. Look at these people.
It says fabulous.
I've never seen, there's got to be tens of people.
Tens of people. No, we're glad they're here.
I love having these guys. This is my kind of place. This is what I like to see with people that come out to Arkansas.
Missouri.
What?
Missouri.
We're in Missouri. Yeah, that's what they were saying. Well, Arkansas is the Mojave Desert name for Missouri. I don't know if you're aware of that. It's an Indian custom to always call Missouri Arkansas. If you don't like the Indians, that's between you and that. But
that's right. Now, how do we know these Indian names really mean what they say they mean?
Huh?
How do we know that the Indian names really mean what they say they?
Well, if you're not bilingual in Indian
like
language,
Winnebago in Wisconsin,
right?
How do we know that doesn't mean dumb white guy?
Winnebago? I thought it meant giant house on wheels is what I thought it meant, yeah.
Hey, man, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All the way from the big city, Nashville, Tennessee.
I came down
from
Nashville.
Both of you guys live in Nashville. Actually, you guys go to...
Matter of fact, I didn't even know he was on the show.
Is that right?
Good to see you. I never run into this guy. He's too big for me.
Yeah.
I invite him over. He doesn't come over because he's Ken Davis, the big star. Meanwhile, I'm praying and fasting for him at all times. I don't know what that means. But.
Now, you guys go to the same church?
We don't, actually.
You don't? I thought you said you did earlier.
Yeah, can we get somebody to help him on the information?
So
would it kill anybody to get some research for this guy? We flew like 500 miles to have him go, you guys are related, right?
I thought you said you went to the same church. So why don't you go to the same church? You can't get along? Is that the problem?
They excommunicated me.
Oh, that I understand.
Yeah, I was thrown out immediately because of my, because I didn't know that I was in Missouri. Actually, it was thrown out. Yeah, they hate that when I don't know where I am, and they figured that's, I think it's the unforgivable sin, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Thought I'd ask you.
We'll have our research department. We know what a great job they do.
Amen.
Yes, let's check with them and follow up on that. But we're so glad you're here, and we're so glad that you tuned in today. And we're going to be talking, we haven't talked about anything yet, but we're talking about...
Excuse me, somebody having a root canal or something?
Construction. The dentist is right next door. Blood curling screens will be coming out in a minute.
No, it's killing me because all these people are acting like, no, that's normal for us. We we hate coming to these shows.
It is because they're constantly working on this place. It's kind of a cool place.
There's plastic explosives going off, and they're like, no, that doesn't bother us. No, we like that.
Now, we are going to be talking about men's stuff, what it means to be a man in today's culture. You wouldn't think, boy, you'd ever have to have this discussion, but we do, because things have been so messed up. Of course, this is something that is a hot topic, considered politically incorrect. Of course, I know how much you love that.
Which is exactly why I'm here, by the way. If there's any element or philosophy or ideology in the last 20 years that I more despise in America, it's political correctness. Political correctness is fascism. It is anti-Americanism. By the way, a lot of people don't know this. It was a Marxist idea. It was designed to do exactly what it was, which is to marginalize people instead of having to create different ideas or better ideas by simply attacking people and ideas, being intolerant of everything but your own belief system, which is what it does. It keeps freedom of speech. It teaches you to censor yourself and your own moral beliefs for the sake of somebody's feelings. Not for the sake of a better idea. This is democracy where you're supposed to persuade people to your point of view. No longer is that necessary. I simply have to claim I'm a victim. This is where Marxism comes in. And everybody else has to back off. I want to watch political correctness die in my lifetime.
Yeah, I agree with that. Amen.
I agree with that.
But first, I want to watch it suffer. And I'm going to do my dangest to do that.
That's love. That's
as long as
compassion.
I have a microphone, a stage, I'm going to do what I can to make sure that political correctness is put where it belongs.
All right, so for people who are from the outskirts of wherever.
Basically here.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
For the people outside of Missouri.
Or Arkansas, depending on which Indian language you're
We
using.
landed actually in Arkansas.
That's why I got
Yes,
flown.
we landed in Arkansas.
Yeah. And we were on a bus, which is even more pathetic. But yeah.
The bus came down. It was very difficult.
Yes,
But,
slid across the border.
For those who don't really know what that means.
What's that?
Political correctness. What are you talking about?
Well, you know, political correctness, like I said, it was an ideology that came out of Europe, actually prior to World War II, and they were trying to change the whole idea of the European culture. It didn't work. Actually, they had to leave because of Nazis were taking over, and they came here and to the United States. One guy ended up in Columbia University as a professor there, and began the process of re-teaching Americans how they could engage each other in the political, in the social spectrum. And what it does is it creates the idea of oppressiveness. The bourgeois, the proletariat, all that came out of Marxism. Didn't work. But they turned it into this idea that somebody would always oppress you. Somebody would always be the rich guy. He's bad. All of us who work for him are being exploited, and we're going to rise up and overtake them. Of course, what they don't mention is what that, of course, does is end up oppressing that person. But this is a Marxist, which is basically atheism. Whereas from a Judeo-Christian point of view, you know, you have to give dignity and honor to all human beings because we're made in the image of God. But from the American point of view, there was this expectation of personal responsibility. There was an expectation that the government is not here to be created so that it can give you whatever you desire. It will defend your ability to try to achieve what you can in this free democracy. Part of that, by the way, was going to be dictated on the fact that there would be a moral structure in the country. And here's what people don't want to hear. And guess what the Founding Fathers said they were going to use for that moral structure? The Bible. The Bible would be taught in schools because they needed to let kids know where morals came from. You have to give a kid some concept of why we think this is right and this is wrong. And if you go to the secular, you go to Marxism, atheism, what's not, then the culture defines what is right and wrong. Well, when the culture defines it, and if that culture is Nazis, then the culture can dictate that some humans aren't fit to live, and that's what we saw happen. And so, again, it's once again this cultural elite that are trying to take over our country. Our country. I mean, I used to look at, you know, people much older than me, probably went through times, maybe World War II and whatnot, where we fought for the right for this freedom, fought for the right to speak our mind and not have it ripped away from us by people who've never done anything for us. But that's what I talk about. But yet I'm a comedian, so it's like they don't know what to do with it. Because if I was a professor this or whatnot, they could sit there. But as a comic, it's like, well, you know, how do we attack this guy? And I've used that in my comedy for years. I was just tired of comedians putting down my country for a buck, and whereas I want to lift it up. I was tired of people putting down my belief in God instead of lifting them up. I was tired of people putting down my people, Christians, like a punchline. And nobody was saying anything. And I said, you know what, I'm an American, and the First Amendment still applies to us. And my people, as Christians, happened to start this country. This is my people, my lineage, and if we aren't willing to fight for it, then we deserve what we get. And you know who's supposed to do that? Men.
Yes, men. Men, which brings us to the problem that we're talking about today, what's happened to real men. The country has been victimized, I believe, severely in the last 50 years at least, with what I call the feminization of America.
Yep.
Talk to me about that.
Well, I mean, you know, the moment you say that, people are going to say, oh, he's misogynistic, this is anti-woman. This is nothing against women. We couldn't survive without women. We need them. If you're married, they're a partner. I mean, this never is against women. What we're talking about is a misbalance between what men were allowed to be. We used to be able to say, be a man. Remember those terms, be a man?
Yeah.
And now that would be considered sexist. That would be because what it implies is that there's something superior in a man, perhaps, that in a woman. Okay, I got a flash for you, and I'll do it to the camera. There is. Listen to me very carefully. Remember I talked about political correctness? You know how you stop it? You don't do it. Okay? So someone says, you've hurt my feelings, and you say, I don't care.
Yes. Hoo-ah.
I win. That's how it works. Now, what happens is people will then use your faith against you. This is what I love. When people who hate my faith as a Christian then try to turn around and say, you're not a very good Christian. You don't even believe in my faith. But suddenly, now you're going to hold me to a standard. And I say, you know, you're not allowed to offend people. And I always correct people, say, excuse me, let me explain something to you. You know, as a Christian, I am not allowed to maliciously offend people.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not allowed to think I'm better than somebody, judge somebody, hate somebody. You know, I agree with all that. I do not think I'm better than anybody. That's all right. But let me tell you something, America. If the truth offends you, that's your problem.
There you go.
Woo! That's how it was supposed to be.
That's what I'm talking
Because what
about.
the political correct doesn't want to deal with, and what men were always good at when they came from standing for a belief system, is that the truth is supposed to offend you. That's how you know you don't have it.
That's right.
That was the point. It was supposed to convict you from, as a Christian belief, immutable truth. In other words, if you feel yourself away from truth, it didn't go anywhere. You did. That has to be the case. Otherwise, truth is relative and it's not real. So what we've tried to do with feminization is this idea that somehow something is inherently flawed in the male psyche. In other words, if, you know, because here's what you women need to understand. When we drop things out of windows at 4 or 5 stories and then spit and then blow stuff up, that's fun. That's stuff we like to do. I know you don't understand it, but then again, we give you flowers and we don't know why you like those. See, but we do it anyways because we love you. But men know different. I mean, flowers never made sense to a dude because flowers, men know what they are. They're dead plants. That's what they are.
They're just not
They're
all
dead
dead
plants.
yet.
I mean,
Yeah.
a guy would like build a flower. We'd make flowers. We'd bring you out and say, baby, look at these flowers I made for you. Aren't they sweet? And then suddenly women are like, yeah, that's beautiful. Kill him and bring him inside. It's like that's what we do. They cut it up and they bring it inside. And the first thing we want to do is make it appear to still be alive. Put it in vase. Put water in it. And they got like tablets to make it appear to be alive. It's like embalming fluid for flowers. You killed it, but now let's make it pretend like it's still alive. You should have left it where it was. So it's kind of like women, that's how women hunt. They go after flowers. That's what they do. And then they get mad at us for hunting the animals. At least our stinking prey can run away. You take this defenseless flower, you cut it up, and you don't care. And the reason you don't care is because you can't hear it scream. That's why you don't care. But they get the flowers, they stick them in the plant, they do the thing. It's a woman thing. Women are tender. Women are that way, and they should be. But here's what happens in the church. Here's what happens in the church when we talk about male stuff. And this is crucial, and it's why God Men exists, the men's ministry I'm doing, it's why you're doing what you're doing, is because when we go to church in America, we are taught half of Jesus. When you think of Jesus, and you've been I'm assuming most of you people grew up in the church, like I did, when you think of Jesus, what do you think? What are the words? Grace, love, forgiveness, tenderness, compassion, sweetness, all very crucial. I mean, I'm not taking that away. I need a God of grace. So I believe in that side of Jesus. He was tender, he was beautiful. But those terms are feminine. Those terms that when you think of male, you think of strong, courageous, a leader, power, a hunter, a defender. Where's that side of Jesus? In other words, where's the table tip in Jesus? Mm-hmm. Where's the Jesus that got it in the face of the most powerful people of his culture, the Pharisees, who were the religious leaders, just like our top religious leaders that we respect and are supposed to respect, and said, you're a generation of vipers fit for hell. That's an insult. Now, some people could say it's even a curse. A generation of vipers means son of a snake. The truth of the matter is, we read Jesus like a metaphor. He wasn't. He really existed. He really turned tables over. Let me tell you something. If I threw this table over in front of you right now and took a whip to you, in the United States of America, you know what they call that? Assault and battery. It's illegal. If I came up to all you Christian brothers and sisters and said, is assault and battery a sin? Every one of you said, well, of course. So we got a problem. Either Jesus sinned, means he's not God and you just wasted your time here. Or sin isn't always what we've been taught.